Hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of the MBG Chats, a fairly new format for the Master in Business Growth podcast. Today I'm joined by Emma. Emma, just give yourself a little introduction and your business and anything else you think that might be pertinent to an introduction to get to know you.
Okay, so my name is Emma. I'm 37. I'm originally from Doncaster, but I now live in Leeds. And if you are a parent, then there's a good chance that you probably already know me or know my business in some form, because in 2016, I accidentally created the IKEA highchair hack. And I have now gone on to build a business called Bobbin Bumble. And we've diversified from just the IKEA high chair, but that's where lots of people will know me from, probably.
So for anybody who was potentially living under a rock at that time, what was the high chair hack?
So basically, and it's still going on now, the IKEA high chair, it's sort of, if you're a parent, you'll know it. Even if you don't own it, you'll have used it in a restaurant. It's a £16 high chair. It's white, it's brilliant, it's really affordable. It's from IKEA. And I actually accessorized it back in 2016. Actually bought the high chair for my daughter, who in March of 2016, I'd had her in the December of 2015. And it came with a blue and red striped like cotton cover. And as soon as it arrived, I looked at it and thought, oh, that is so ugly. I'm going to go online and have a look and see if I can buy one that's pink, because I'd had a daughter. I wanted everything to be pink and wipeable. And I went online and I started looking and I thought, there just wasn't anything out there. I thought, I can't be the only person that's ever thought of this. And it turned out at the time I was. So I actually went to the car boot. I bought a second-hand sewing machine for £5 and I made my first cover. And then at the time, I was at home, and Instagram around that time was like the platform to be using. And it was like my lifeline to the outside. And I was sort of meeting loads of different mums on there, and I was uploading pictures of Robin in a high chair with this cover that I'd made, and people would be like, "Oh, where's that cover from?" And I'd be like, "Oh, I made it," and they'd be like, "Oh, you should sell it." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay, huh." And then we'd move on, and then I'd post another picture of her eating a food, and I'd get more comments like that. And so, yeah, that's how it came about. It became a thing to then get your high chair and accessorize it.
So my wife bought one of them. Yeah,
Really?
she did. She did. One of the one of the sticky things that goes on the tray as well.
Yeah.
Because we've got a son and a daughter, and we had one of
Right.
those high chairs for both of them,
Yeah.
and we bought them for the grandparents so that they could have the same there as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, exactly. I get so many grandparents as well, because it's such a cheap high chair, and it is a really great high chair,
It's
but people
brilliant.
want to make it their own, and because it's like a good price point, they can. And the things that you're saying, like the tray inserts and things like that, that all came later on as it just grew and grew and grew.
Yeah, amazing. Did it technically go viral? Is that something that you would claim?
So, it did go viral. So what happened was, I had lots of people commenting saying, "Oh, I should sell it," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, okay." And I had no intention of starting a business. Like, this was never anything. It happened completely accidental. Like I said, I'm from Doncaster originally. I moved to Leeds before Robin was one. So I'd moved to a new city. I didn't have any friends or family around. I didn't have a job. I was actually discriminated at the job I had when I was pregnant. So I was on maternity leave from them, but knew I wasn't going back. And just one day, like, people kept saying, "Oh, you should do it." I thought, do you know what? I've not got any friends, not got anything to do. I'm at home all day. I'll just buy like a few fabrics and I'll make four. And then I'll list them on this thing called Etsy, because Etsy was just fairly unknown at that point still, but it was for people who were making things and selling them. And I thought, if I sell it on there, people will know that I'm making it, so they won't expect like shop quality, and I can learn this new skill while I go. So I made four and I listed them on Etsy, and I thought, if I sell one a month, that'll be good. Like, I'll be able to make it in one about a month. That'll be good. Immediately started selling, but not in the UK. It was in places like America, Australia, Iceland, Tel Aviv. anywhere that had an IKEA. And I think the UK was very behind on this thought of accessorizing things. Like, we're very into hacks and things now, but at that time we weren't hacking things. So I found that anywhere outside of the UK, especially in America, that was where I got the majority of my first orders from. They were ordering, and I remember running into the front room after I'd listed these things. I went to my husband and went, oh my God, I've got these orders. I don't know how to sew. I don't know how to sew. What am I going to do? Because I literally had just sewed this one thing and it was really rubbish. It wasn't even that great, to be fair, because I'd never sewn before. It was on a £5 sewing machine from a car boot. And I just sort of like hit the ground running straight away with that. And I honestly didn't believe that it would even really work. I just thought it'd give me something to do. I thought, who's going to pay £14 for a high chair, and then I'm really going to expect him to pay more for just a cover? I thought, surely you can't make a business out of that. But what I now know is you can make a business out of anything. And if you want something, the chances are that other people want it too. And that's something that you've really got to remember.
100%. I mean, there's so much to just unpack in that. Like, you know, there's so many things you've just mentioned where, I mean, we'll get onto the sort of like discrimination thing, you know, in terms of like being, you know, a woman in your job and things like that. But in terms of the entrepreneurial journey, a lot of people do stumble onto a business or onto an idea. And,
Yeah.
you know, a lot of people teach and preach as well that, you know, go to an audience, go to 10, 15 people or 50 people and find out what their problem is and then build a product
Yeah.
from there. But actually, sometimes it can just start with you and your problem, and
Yeah.
you want to solve something for yourself. And the fact that that was like a viral sensation, and yeah, I think you really were ahead of the trend, and you caught the wave before, obviously, before COVID as well.
Yeah.
Which, you know, that was a big time for ecom. That was a big time for people selling things and making
Yeah.
things online and being their own boss as well. So to date, I mean, I don't know if you want to delve into the numbers, but how many of these products do you think you've sold around the world?
I think, well, I mean, around the world, like all of my things, maybe like 40,000.
Incredible. From
And you
home.
mentioned, yeah, well, you mentioned lockdown, and I was ahead of the curve, and I like sort of look back, and sometimes I'm like, oh, I should have done this. I didn't do it right. Like, I was so far ahead of everybody else. But actually, what it allowed me to do was slowly learn at my own pace. And I had all that time before lockdown to sort of learn things. I went relatively under the radar until lockdown, and then it really took off. And then with that came copycats. I'd already sort of established myself, and I already sort of knew things that they wouldn't know. And I think if I'd have gone in and it had been and I'd started in 2020 and it had smacked off and gone like it did, I wouldn't be here because I wouldn't have been able to cope. And I always used to say to my husband, "Oh, I just wish that I'd get like that viral thing and it'd just like really go." And he was like, "That sounds good, Emma, but you couldn't have coped with that. You were at home sewing yourself." And in lockdown, I actually had blistered hands from all the cutting and sewing. I made over 1,000 myself. I was still making everything myself. At that point, I wasn't manufacturing anything. Everything was made by me. And so it's really like hindsight's 2020. Yeah, I wish I could have done this, this, and this. But now I look back and I think, actually, no, it happened the way it was meant to happen. And that's why I'm still going. Like, I wasn't just a lockdown business that's now shut, because I'd already like made roots and learned things that have kept me going now.
I think that's amazing. And I think that's probably quite inspiring for any kind of any woman or any person. Actually, it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. You know, sort of staying at home with the kids on maternity or paternity and needing something to do, needing a bit of purpose. But going back to your job and being sort of, you mentioned you were just discriminated against within that job. Do you want to just tell us a little bit about that, and if you're comfortable to do so? Because I think it's one of those things that probably a lot of people will relate to. Going into motherhood is scary. Being a first-time parent is scary. Being a parent for the second, third, fourth time is scary, to be honest. But
Yeah.
I think there's probably a little bit in there that people might find quite relatable.
Yeah. So Before all of this, I actually always worked in hospitality, so always hotels. And I actually lived in the States as well and worked in hotels and a British pub even. And when we moved back from the States in 2013, I got a job in a local hotel, and that's what I'd always done. And by 2015, when I'd got pregnant, so I'd worked only part-time at that point because I just tried to get my foot back into the door over here after being away in America. And I worked part-time, but I was clearly more qualified, the most qualified of everyone there, but I'd just taken the position I could get. And a position above me had actually come available, but I'd already said that I was going on maternity leave. And actually, my manager said to me, she said that, oh, it's such a shame you planned this pregnancy all weird because now you can't have this promotion. And I said to her, hey, I said, that's discrimination. And she was like, no, it's not. Like, there's different rules when you go on maternity. And remember now, we're all very up on like maternity and paternity and all your rights. Back then, I knew it was wrong. I said, that's discrimination. But then she told me, no, 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 it's not. You are allowed to do things. And I just sort of took it at face value, but always felt like, what do you mean I can't have it because I'm going on maternity? And they actually didn't advertise the job then. They didn't interview, they just gave it straight to a person. And I think it was because I'd brought up that this was discrimination and they just sort of did it all hush hush and got it done. And then I went on maternity and I remember just thinking to myself, I knew I was good at my job. Like I was actually really good at my job. Like I know that. I knew I deserved that position. Other people knew I deserved that position. And to feel like, oh, because I'd had a baby or I was having a baby, like I no longer deserved it. Why? And I thought to myself, this was another driving force between my business because I thought to myself, I'm a hard worker, I'm a good worker. And you know what? I'm sick of working hard and doing a good job for other people. I'll do it for myself. And it was like a driving force in this as well.
This is the thing, isn't it? Like these horrible things happen to us. You know, something nothing like that happened to me, but I had a similar sort of bad experience in work, which then drove me to start my business as well. So it's these things have a very weird way of working themselves out. They're horrible. They shouldn't have happened, but the fact that they did, actually, it's what you do with that, isn't it? It's what you do with that fire in your belly, or it depends on how much agency you have as a person. And clearly you have a lot. I have a lot. But there are a lot of people out there that probably do feel quite hesitant to believe in themselves to go on and try and do something that they feel like they're good at. And I mean, ultimately, is that one of those things that, as much as it was horrible and, you would never wish that on anybody, are you kind of weirdly glad it happened?
Yeah, when I reflect back, of course I am. I'm glad that a lot of bad things have happened to me, but I'm always grateful for them because everything led me to this place. And I'm very much a glass half full person. And I think as well, for any parents listening to this, something happens to you when you become a parent. And I think it's the fact that the scariest thing ever has already happened. Your children are the most important thing ever. And so you know that whatever else happens, it's irrelevant. It doesn't matter. It's not scary because the scariest thing is your child. And if anything happens to your child. So if my business failed tomorrow and that's the worst thing that's going to happen to me, then fine, let it. Because I would rather that happen than something to my child. And I always think of things like that yes, it's bad, but it's leading me to somewhere else. And at the time, like I'm not this positive. Of course, I'm like, oh, why does this have to happen to me? But very like I'm very reflective, and I can pull myself out, and I can think to myself that it all happens for a reason. It all leads you somewhere. And if it's still really bad, it's because it's not over. Like you've not come to the end of it. If it's not worked itself out, it's because it's not the end yet. And it will. It will work itself out. So yeah, kind of glad in reflection. At the time, I didn't know it. And I didn't have this confidence that I have now. I just sort of accepted that she said, no, it's not discrimination. I just accepted it because I thought, well, she must know. She's the
Yeah.
manager. She knows. And now I look back and I think, I was right. And I didn't have the confidence to say, I'm right. And I think that's something that comes with being a parent as well. It's like this confidence you have in yourself because you're responsible for other things now. So you have to believe in yourself and you have to fight for yourself. Whereas before I was just a young girl and I just thought she must know. I must have got that wrong then.
Yeah, I mean, we're stricken when we enter the workplace in our like late teens, early 20s. I think we're stricken with naivety, aren't we? Like we just
Yeah.
and we look up to these people and we expect them to guide us and to have our backs, and it's a really, really awful place sometimes, the world of work, because you learn some very harsh lessons very, very quickly, and you have to have a bit of resilience. And it sounds like, yeah, it just sounds like you just didn't have the courage at that
Yeah.
time. You clearly knew in your heart of hearts that was wrong, and you just didn't have the courage to speak up, which I think a lot of people go through. Most people go through
Yeah.
that, I would say, but you've come
Yeah.
through the other end. So then you created that viral sensation, and now that's kind of turned or been the stimulus for a much bigger business now, hasn't it? So
Yeah.
talk a little bit about what you're doing now with Bobbin Bumble.
So we'll have to go back to 2020 when it really took off. So other people started picking it up. So I'd sort of gone under the radar, but then when other people start picking it up, you'll be amazed how many people come up with the same idea as you once they've seen it.
Oh yeah.
But that actually, at the time, again, that was absolutely horrendous to go through. But now I'm glad because they helped spread the word about it that I wasn't doing. If people aren't copying you, you're not doing a good enough job. And that was what was actually happening before this. I was sort of learning my way quietly, but I wasn't doing a good enough job because not enough new people knew I existed. I had a product that people didn't know they needed. And so in 2020, that happened and people helped that become a thing. So I'm still making in 2020, hand making everything. The sewing machine sort of gave me a new lease of life. Like when I learned to sew, I was like, oh my God, I could like anything I think of, I can make. And it really, so then I started doing other things and I created a few other products that went viral. One was a red book. So you get I don't know if you've had
Yep.
this. Yeah, so
I
you
know
get
what you
notes
mean.
for
Yeah.
children, the NHS Red Book, and I made a little wallet with my baby's name on and the date of birth. Like I made that to keep it in, and then I thought I'll sell this. People went absolutely mad for them. They were
I'm
like the
pretty
biggest
sure my wife
sellers.
bought that as well.
Yeah.
I might be your biggest customer. Who knows?
So I made them, and then the IKEA highchair. So I was just doing the cushion, but then I thought, well, what about when the baby throws food on the floor? Let's do a splash mat as well. And I did the splash mat. Like these honestly were not a thing. And I found as well, like I would invent things as like my children were going through it. So the splash mat, then I made a smaller version and I put it under the potty when my daughter was potty training. And I just thought to myself, like every time I needed something, I would make it and then think, if I need it, someone else needs it. And so I was plodding along doing that. 2020 came and sales just went boom, like mental. And I hand sewing, making everything, blistered hands. It was horrendous, but good. And I thought to myself, well, no, what happened was then I saw other people start selling my stuff. And one person in particular, I'd seen that she was selling splash mats, but she was selling them and they were manufactured. And so I was like, right, she can sell them cheaper now, quicker. And I can't compete with that because how I was making splash mats was I was going to Dunelm, cutting out huge things on my kitchen floor and then sewing a little trim around them. They'd take me ages for such a small thing. Whereas she was literally manufacturing something. It was here, sold, done, and it was cheaper. The patterns were whatever she wanted, not what you were restricted to at Dunelm. And I sort of saw that and I thought, oh my God, I need to find whoever's doing this for her
Mm.
and I need to get it or I'll lose my business. And that's what put me into manufacturing. So eventually I found somebody to do my splash mats. And again, like the sewing machine, but with manufacturing, I was like, hey, can have anything I want made, like done for me. And it was really like just a moment like that. And I thought, right, I'm going to start doing other stuff then. And then it became like all the stuff I was already doing was getting manufactured. But then I started adding stuff. And then it became a thing of, well, changing mats. I'd never done changing mats before. I used to use for Robin, what happened, it started with the travel changing mat, which is here. I used a piece of PVC. And so it started with manufacturing travel changing mats. And it was just magical. It was like, I cannot believe anything I think of, I can find somebody to make it. And yeah, and it sort of went on from there. And then the difference was like changing mats. I'm not the first person to invent changing mats. But what's different about me is because I'm having it made, I can have whatever I want put on it. And that's the difference.
It's the
And I think
customization.
that's still the difference between me and other people. So no matter how many people are doing the same thing, we're not the same, because my whole thing is to put what I want on it and to make, like I say, that we sell the basics or the essentials, but they're anything but basic because
Nice.
of like the designs I put on them. So yeah, that's how it sort of grew into manufacturing. And then once I was in manufacturing, I was like, oh my God, I could not, like anything. I'm always like, if I see anything, I'm always like looking at it, like thinking, how can I make that better? Or how can I, like, there must be someone to do this thing for me. So yeah, that's how it sort of grew.
It's amazing, isn't it? Like, just, I think, again, it's that being stricken with naivety and learning for the first time. And, you've got clearly an incredible imagination, and you're just able to spot opportunity as it's happening in front of you and it's unfolding. But then being able to go, well, that'd be a cool design. Hang on a minute, people can make these for me. That's mental, and just like that whole manufacturing arm, which to a seasoned entrepreneur or to someone who's maybe done ecom before, that's probably like, right, okay, I'll do my MVP. What's my minimum viable product? Let's prove it. Then I'll send it off to manufacture. They already know that journey. Now you do.
Yeah.
But and this is what the beauty of this podcast is that we can then show that to other people and go, you don't need to do it yourself. I mean, it's worth doing it yourself at the beginning just to prove it, but know that there is a manufacturing arm at the end of it, and you can scale it that way. I mean, I don't know what your experience is, but a lot of people we speak to through our marketing agency when they're starting a product business for the first time, is that it's cash flow. It's the investment to be able to go to manufacture. And sometimes they have to make things themselves, or they get friends and family round to try and sort of help with packing or shipping and customer service and all that kind of thing. I guess, now that you've had that manufacturing enlightenment, let's call it.
Yeah.
How has that impacted the business? Like, are you a little bit more hands off with that, or are you a little bit more focused on design with marketing? Customer service, where does your focus lie now?
Yeah, so like I keep saying and going back to, like, this has been a very slow build for me. And so like you were mentioning with cash flow, because I was making everything myself, and I actually didn't pay myself for a really long time. We were talking years, like maybe 4 years. And I actually had 2 jobs to fund this. So the reason how I was able to go into manufacturing was because I'd not paid myself every bit of money that I earned, because I didn't plan to this business. It was happening by accident. So I thought, I can't risk like the family income or anything. Like, I don't want to take anything away from the home financially. Like, I have to fund this myself. So I got a job working at Tesco on the weekend, and I got a job in an out of school club after school when my husband had come home, because I didn't have any childcare. So that's also part of my journey, that like I've spoke to people before and they've been like, oh, I wish I had the money to start a business. I didn't have the money. I just found a way. Like, you find a way. If you want something bad enough, you'll find a way. And so then with manufacturing, when I started that, I just sort of pumped. And I remember the first time I ordered anything manufactured, and I was literally had £5 after I'd put that first initial order. I had £5 left in my account, and I just remember thinking, oh my God, I hope this works. I really hope this works. And then now and back then, like, I think to myself now, and I used to think like, oh, when I get like this many orders, like, it'll be so good, money will be so good. But actually what I'm finding now is, as you're scaling, yeah, you're getting orders, but you have to put that money up front ahead and predict. You have to be a mind reader. And it's hard. Like, you think, oh my God, I'm doing so well. But actually, you've got all this cash flow, and like, this is all things that I still don't really understand. I'm learning as I go. And I think an important thing to say to people listening to this is, there's nothing remarkable about me. I'm you. I'm the mum next door. I'm a normal, completely normal person. I have no experience of this. I still feel like I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm doing it. And look at me, it's working. Touch wood.
Oh, that's amazing. I think there's probably an element of Yorkshire grit in there as well. Actually, being a Yorkshireman myself, I think there's something special about Yorkshire people.
Well, yeah,
Just saying, I'm probably going to
yeah,
polarize a little bit there and what have you. But I think your story is incredible, Emma. Actually, I think you're incredibly relatable. I think a lot of mums out there who dream of setting their own business up. I could probably name about 10 off the top of my head. People that I bump into in the playground when I'm doing the school run, and just like sort of mums and dads that I know. Actually, I think that they would really benefit from listening to this, because I know some very, very talented parents who look after the children. And yeah, I think you're incredibly relatable, and I think your story is fantastic. And yeah, I was me and my wife we were customers once, so thank you so much for coming on. I think that's an incredible story, and I wish you all the best of success with Bobbin and Bumble, and I hope it continues to grow, and I hope it continues to enlighten you with new elements of entrepreneurship. That's the thing, isn't it? If we're not still learning, or we think we know it all, we're done, aren't we? Right?
yeah, exactly. And I think as well, there's still like a naivety to me that's helpful in some ways because I'm not afraid to like go to people and say, I really don't know what I'm doing. And they'll help you, they'll tell you. Like, that's the thing. If you don't know something, go and find someone who
Yeah.
does, and they'll tell you. And I tell you, it's a lot quicker to get there. Like when I went into manufacturing, I remember telling somebody like, "Oh, I don't know how to like import or anything. Like I don't know what I'm doing. I've worked in like Tesco and hotels, like," and he just told me just like that, and I was like, right, okay, yeah, I can do that. And so just ask people. But what you were saying about you come across lots of people who want to do it, and you do. I come across lots of people all the time who want to do it, and I'm very like, "Oh, well, I'll help you do it then. Let's do it. Let's do it."
Yeah.
But what you'll find is like they may come to this podcast and they're hoping that I give them some like overnight success. And the truth is, there's no such thing. There really isn't such a thing as an overnight success. And you might think, oh, she's so lucky, she landed it at the right time, this, that, and the other. Do I think I was actually the first person to ever think of customizing the high chair? No, probably not. Do I think I was maybe the first person that ever thought, oh, I'll just list it online? Yeah, I think I was. And I think that's the difference. It's
Mm.
not luck. Hard work puts you where the good luck can find you. Nobody's an overnight success. Like, it's just not true. You might know me now. My daughter's going to be 10 in December. That's how long I've been at this. And so people like will see me now and I'll just explode and they'll think, wow, she's got all this stuff. Well, there was a long time. I was working two jobs around a child, and yeah, like you've really got to be invested in whatever it is you're doing. Like it's one thing saying you want to do it, but doing it is another story, and that's the difference. That's the
Yeah.
difference between most people, is that they actually just won't do it.
It's funny actually. Well, I'll say that in response to what you've just said there, because there's a psychological thing for that, and it's called the possibility gap. When you say
No.
you're going to do something, or you go, I would love to do that, not actually doing it keeps the dream alive. It keeps the possibility
Yeah.
alive, and a lot of people
Yeah.
love just hanging in that possibility gap. They love, like, because it's still possible, it's still able to do. And a lot of people are afraid of failure.
Yeah.
And I don't think failure is anything to be scared of. Like you said about your children, like that's the worst thing you could ever imagine happening. Everything else is like, that's not the worst thing.
Yeah. Exactly.
So I think people live in that possibility gap, and that's fine if that's what they want to do. But don't complain if you know further forward, because
Yeah.
like you've just got to do it. I think naivety is an incredible strong point and powerful thing to have, because what you don't know, you can't sort of confuse yourself with. And you
Yeah.
just go into it like completely unknown. And weirdly enough, I was speaking to my producer about this, and we talk about this all the time. It's like look at this. This guy or this woman, she's made a load of money from doing just this one thing really, really simply, and she had no idea how to do it before she did it. And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what it is. That's
Yeah.
entrepreneurship. Just do one thing really, really well. Find
Yeah.
what you're good at. And yeah, like you said about the luck. Yeah, hard work and
Yeah.
put yourself into
Yeah.
those positions of luck. Yeah.
You'd be amazing, like how much hard, like, and I always think to myself, I cannot have worked this hard and good things not happen. Like you just can't, can you? You just cannot work hard and nothing come of it. It's just that doesn't happen. And so, yeah, that's the difference between people. And it really is that simple. It's between doing and not doing and saying you're going to do something. And I'm sort of used to it now. Like I used to be in the beginning, right, let's do it, let's do it. And now I'm sort of like, yeah, yeah, right. It's like, when people want to know how to lose weight and they'll do everything
Mm,
except for exercise and eat less. People want me to give like some secret like thing of
yeah.
how it's going to happen overnight. And I'm sorry, it's not. But it'll be fun and it'll be a good story. So
People
just
want the
go
magic
for
pill,
it.
don't they? They want
Yeah.
the silver bullet to everything. They want the hack, the quick fix,
Yeah.
and it just doesn't exist. Um,
No, it doesn't.
Emma, thank you so much for coming on. I really, really appreciate you sharing your story with us today. Yeah, where can people find you for the uninitiated or rock dwellers?
Right. So I'm very easy to find actually. Just type in Bobbin and Bumble. My website will come up. I'm Bobbin and Bumble on Instagram, on TikTok. And then if you want to follow me as a person, you can find me on LinkedIn, Emma Cattell. I'm like Mrs. Bouquet. It's not cattle, it's Cattell.
It's not bucket, it's bouquet.
Yeah, and that's how
Love
I
it.
am. I'm like, it's Cattell, it's not cattle, okay? So Emma
Yeah,
Cattell on LinkedIn.
brilliant. Emma, thanks so much, and take care, and all the best with Bobbin and Bumble as well.
Yeah, thank you so much, Paul, for having me. It's been so fun. I've loved it. I could literally talk all day.
I think we could have gone for at least another 90 minutes there for sure.
Yeah,
Nice one. Cheers, Emma. Thank you.
right. Thank you.